Hello, welcome to Laura's Painted Minis. I am Laura, and here we are. It's gonna technically be the last time to see me this year, live anyway. Because the next stream will be Thursday in the new year. How was everyone's weekend? I was kind of like on recovery mode, essentially, from all of the Christmas stuff. I ended up playing a bunch of Baldur's Gate 3 this past week. I'm actually in the city of Baldur's Gate. So I'm in the last act. So I only just started or just got there, so I'm just starting to work on some like side quests and stuff and just exploring the city. I was just so out of it and kind of tired um, from all the holiday stuff that I did not get to doing the paint along video. like I meant to. So I will be doing that tonight, and then I will do the regular scheduled paint along video tomorrow on top of that. So you will get 2 in a row. And that is on my YouTube channel for those who are not aware of that or know what I'm talking about. So this, I'm just getting the robes on this guy base coated. Basically anywhere that I think is robes or fabric is going to be this color. And this is jungle moss. There's a bunch of like horns and skulls like right around here, so kind of have to look in close to see where it's just a fold in the rope or like a little horn or something hanging down. Yeah, I think I missed some leather there, right there. I don't know if you'll be able to, if you can see it, but there's a little bit here that's, now that I look at it and have other things painted, it's not, definitely not part of the horn. But that's okay. We can come back to that later. That's why I write down paints that I did use in case I need to touch things up or in case I missed something. That seems like it's all of that. You got everything there. These other ropes that are in here and over here, kind of hard to see right now. It's getting a little overexposed. The white parts anyway. Well, there's also some in the face here too. I'll do all those kind of like more of a neutral color. It'd be tempting to do them the same colors, to use the same colors as the horns, but right here especially, and down here, it's gonna be right up next to the horns, so I will need a different color. I guess end up here too, actually. There are very much horns up here, not just like sculpted wood. Looks like it's horns that are tied onto a piece of wood or a stick. And then the staff too also. Because everything else is pretty much skulls or like a bone type color, or wood, or linen or rope, however you want to paint it. And all of those are very good things to use as places for neutral colors. Especially if you've already got your main colors painted on the mini, and you don't really have room to introduce a new color and use it elsewhere. And that's when you just resort to some neutrals. So that can include brown, it's just not this brown. This is an orangey brown. So you'd want something more grayed out. Doesn't necessarily have to be muted to be a neutral, but for browns it kind of tends to be. And then of course there's also just black or white. Would also be some neutrals. Or like off-white. Or grays. Since most of the time straight up white or black is quite often not gonna look good. Kind of depends. Guess it just kind of depends on if you've gone really dark or really light on your other colors, and whether or not those would be good options for your neutrals. Your brown, you can just always add some white to it, make it lighter, or add black to it, make it darker. Okay. Now I'm just waiting for this to dry. Kind of need like one more layer, I think, of the base coat. I think that's making for kind of a fun color. Hmm. Trying to think if there's anything I can talk about. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Can't remember if I've shown these colors or not, but this is kind of what I'm thinking as far as the colors to use. I know this is kind of pretty saturated, and I decided to go with that, even though that this color is the Grave Gloom is not, just because this will be good to kind of help keep it from getting too muted. Because if you look here, the purple and the orange is actually pretty saturated, not super, but it's definitely not muted. So I was kind of realizing that if I stayed and took this even up higher, which would then mute it even more, that would kind of clash a bit. So that's why I decided to use the Dungeon Slime, because it's got some saturation in it, and it will help make this lighter, but also bring some saturation back into it as well. It's still a little bit wet in some of the areas. Trying to think. I had put a lot of the other colors away that I had used for the leather, so I am not exactly prepared for being able to whip those out. And then this base that I glued it on is actually one of Reaper's bases. They're Base Boss gaming bases. I don't know if they have the sculpted bases released yet or not. But they did like a Kickstarter for the sculpted base. So the sculpted base and this, I got both, and they had a Kickstarter a couple years ago for it. It was a really small one, really small Kickstarter. I hope they eventually do put them into retail because they are really cool. And they had a lot of other versions or designs too, because I think they made like wooden planks and some skulls. But I didn't want to necessarily put too much in on that. But it's fun to have these when I get minis like this that do not have an integral base and I want something kind of cool. Okay. It is mostly dry. So I'm going to go ahead and do one final coat of the base coat. And we're trying to make this one thin so it doesn't take quite so long to dry. It's been rather warm and super foggy here. It's actually not too terribly dry considering it's winter. So that is probably part of the problem too. Some areas here that are still white. Should say they're still white where they shouldn't be white. There, now the stuff over here is mostly dry already. I can come in with my next color up, and even if it's not totally dry. It'll kind of provide a little bit of a blending effect. And this is about a drop of jungle moss mixed in with that grave gloom. It's possible I may need to just ditch the grave gloom entirely, but we will see how this turns out. I know some areas are kind of messy, not very refined at the moment while I'm doing this, but that's just reality is that's just kind of the process. I mean, if you want things to be quickly done and or look like they're done-ish right away, then, well, that's kind of what speed paints are for. But if you're wanting to up your level of painting, try and learn like, and are trying to learn glazing and layering, you just need to remember it's going to be a process, and there's going to be a time where the mini is just probably going to look ugly. I feel like that's kind of one of the hardest things to battle through when you're learning some higher, I don't know, higher techniques. I am also just not a very clean painter. I've worked on getting better with that just so that I'm not like completely messing up areas that I've already painted. But as you can see, when it comes to an area that I have not yet actually painted yet, I'm really not all that careful or clean. So right here is what I'm talking about, where you have to pay close attention to know whether it's a fold or an actual bone. So right here, right here, you can see where my brush is stroking. There's actually a bone there, like a little, I don't know if it's supposed to be like a tooth or something. It's got like a little chain, or not really a chain, a rope. It's basically like a necklace of bones. But right here is a fold. And there's another. I used to be really terrible at like noticing those kinds of details, being able to see them. I feel like that's something that can be hard at first if you've not been in the hobby very long. Of course, that's a little subjective as far as length of time of what you consider long and whatnot. But for the many painters that I talk to, I feel like for me, I have not been in the mini painting community or painting minis for very long, since I know many who've been doing it for 10 plus years. Whereas see, next fall, it'll have been about 5 years. You can do the math. What happened 5 years ago? Well, 5 years ago next year, specifically, I guess. But in some parts of the world, they were already getting hit. And if you haven't seen me paint like fabric stuff before. I do like to make it so that you can see some of my brush strokes. Especially when it's like this, where it looks like it's already torn or worn in some way. It's gonna have texture naturally if it were real. So leaving some of those brush strokes kind of brings in that texture. Anyone have any fun like New Year's plans, or are y'all just staying in? We're gonna go hang out with some friends. But it'll be like earlier in the evening. I doubt we'll stay there too late because we'll have the two of us will have toddlers to be taken care of. Still kind of deciding on this. Trying to think if there, I think there was a different green I considered that that was similar to Grave Gloom. I would have to look. That'd probably be something I would do after stream. But I mean, it wouldn't be that difficult. I can always come back at whatever color that is once I find it. I can just come back and like glaze over this probably. Or worst case scenario, I just paint over it with that newer color. I probably wouldn't need to do much in the shadows necessarily. For now, I'm going to keep going with this and see if using the more saturated dungeon slime will help bring some saturation back in to it. Just stirring up my paint. Okay. So this will be kind of like the first highlight, this color. And this is the first one that has a little bit of that dungeon slime mixed in. we'll get to start seeing if that's enough to make a difference. It kind of looks like maybe I need to thin it a little bit more. Just noticed that the cat left the cat tree, apparently. Yeah, that's a lot better. More of a layering consistency now. Kind of like that, but I feel like it's bringing back in saturation. There's the only thing with this is it is bringing us kind of in the realm of yellowish green as opposed to straight up green. So may have to take a look at my color wheel and just double check how this is looking. If it's leaning into the yellow green too much. It does look pretty yellowish, yellow green on the palette. Trying to think if that's, I do not have it written down. I know I was going for a secondary triad, which is more of a regular green. So there's green, and then there's like kind of a blue green, and then there's like yellow green. Now, hopefully this won't be too different out there, I guess, because this will be a mini that I will put up on eBay once I call it done. So I'm not necessarily painting for myself. The things you see me do on my Thursday stream is typically stuff for myself. Probably, if this ends up going a little too yellow, Naga green might be the solution. And it honestly might be actually the more saturated mid-tone green too. That might be what I was thinking about using. So that's definitely a very just straight stereotypical green. Like a mid-tone green. And I sometimes forget about it because I usually don't actually like doing just straight green. I do like to tend to go more bluish or yellowish when I do green. Okay, I watch the time here. So we are not going to be able to finish this today. But you will probably still get to see me paint it. The rest of the green on screen still, because as I mentioned towards the beginning, I did not get this past week's paint along video recorded yet, and I do still plan, because I did say that I would. So I'll be doing that tonight, which will take up my normal time to paint. So I would be working on that instead of doing a little bit more work on this guy. I do like how this green looks. I just need to kind of take a step back and see how it looks against the other colors that I've got. this little bit up here before I forget about it. I could have done this in the leather color. It was not very clear on in some of these areas where the two meet up. Like it's was not sculpted to be, seems at least, it was not sculpted to be super specific. Like you could, if you wanted to, just paint it all one color, like this area and this area. Because I mean, I can show you where they meet up. Like it's not super obvious, and it's a little hard probably to even for you to see. But I mean, what you can see as far as it, like, it's about what I can see. Got these two meeting up here. While I'm looking at this, I'm gonna stick some more of the shadow color in, just so that we aren't seeing any of the primer coming through here. It's not an area I plan on actually doing anything else to, just because you really aren't going to be able to see it, other than someone who like decides to turn the mini upside down like this. In which case, it's naturally in shadow anyway, in the darkest shadows too. So, and most people are just gonna be sitting here looking like this and turning it around. Or at least that's what my friends do. I don't see them turning it upside down completely to try to see if I got all the nooks and crannies. But yeah, I think I'm gonna stop there for today. I think the next Monday I'll probably continue with the colors I'm using now. Just for now, is I think is what I'm gonna plan on. I do feel like the Dungeon Slime is bringing back in a little bit more saturation to sort of match up with these, so I don't feel that it looks terrible, but who knows? If I do change, it probably will be the Naga green, which I can probably quick pull that down. I think I see it. So it'd be this. Here's Naga green. So you can see how just that stereotypical green color. Just how it's definitely more saturated. So we'll see. We'll put it over there on the back burner pretty much. And I'm gonna pretty much call that for today. Thursday, I'll be back. It'll be a new year. Well, I didn't really end up doing much more work on this other than what I did Thursday. I don't think I did. So we'll work on bringing the cream color up more on this guy Thursday. So yeah. So you can come back Thursday for that. And then I will be back. And then Monday next week was when I'll paint this guy again. If you are specifically interested about that. I will go ahead and put my socials, put those up in chat. If you aren't already following me on Instagram and Facebook or YouTube, you got the links right there in chat. Instagram and Facebook are good places to see kind of a lot of in progress pics in between streams of what I'm working on in between streams. YouTube, I post all of the VODs, upload all of them to YouTube, so anything from the past, VODs from the past that are no longer up on my Twitch channel, you can get on my YouTube. And anytime I do actually have something for sale, I'll post that onto my Facebook group. And I do have a TikTok account. I don't post very often to that because I've gotten out of the habit of actually remembering to record, do like time lapse videos of while I paint outside of streams and stuff. So I will be trying to get back into that. Otherwise, it's just been I'll post like the finished videos or videos of finished minis on there. Is mostly what's up on my TikTok. But yeah, thanks for stopping by. I will see y'all Thursday, hopefully. All right. Have a good New Year. Bye.